The new Zerg buffs that were introduced with the new balance patch appear to be absolutely busted. At the very least, if word on the street is to be believed. What I've got for you today is a best of 3 series from the 5.0.16 patch. Yes, this is the live version of the patch. Remember how I uploaded a video with the new PTR changes and all the rest of it after like 3 weeks of radio silence? Well, the intern decided to just publish those changes 2 days after PTR 2 went live. Couple of small adjustments as well, but spotting right here in the bottom right, playing in blue, we have none other than YoungYakov opening up with a 10 pool. Now that's a build I haven't seen in a while. His opponent playing with the red from South Korea, one of the world's very best Protoss players of all time. We're looking inside of the main base of Classic. Classic here trying to... Oh! This is awkward. Wait a second. Classic is trying to do a proxy gateway push, I guess? It's really the only thing that makes sense, because where in the world... Oh, are we going Nexus first? What? What's the point? Why did we build the pylon over here? This is a 10 pool from the Zerg. Wait, what is the goal here, Classic? What are we trying to do? YoungYakov is scouting. He's pretending like he wants to go for an expo. But, what is this? So here's the thing. They changed... they changed pretty much the entire early game for both Protoss and Zerg. So obviously the way that warp gates work right now is very different than it used to for, well, the last 16 years of competitive SC2. This is a disaster though here for Classic, isn't it? I mean, unless YoungYakov doesn't see... Overlord right now is going to spot this. Do the Zerglings turn around? Or do you commit to the counterattack? I don't really hate the idea of committing to the counterattack, because obviously the main base of Protoss is wide open. But now with the latest version, as Classic writes Z, which is the Korean equivalent of laughing. With the latest version of the patch, Zerg larva regeneration has been increased significantly. If that pylon goes down, it's game over. And I've got a feeling that that pylon is going to go down sooner rather than later. The real question is, can Classic even get a unit out? Probe falls as well. New pylon is getting targeted as well by the additional links. Okay, we're gonna see one zealot. Oh, it's an absolute disaster. No way, dude. No way. Yeah, just leave, Classic. Leave. Just This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Yeah, look at Classic dancing this. Look at Classic dancing the Zealot. Okay, Classic, let's just pretend that that previous game didn't happen. Little bit of a disaster. I guess the scoreboard, though, is not going to forget, and honestly, neither will I. Because that was rough. It happens. It's kind of fun, right? Whenever we have a significant balance patch, especially one that overhauls some of the early game, and in this particular instance, it's the biggest overhaul to the early game for Protoss in about a decade. It's really that significant, really since the release of Legacy of the Void and like the introduction of new units. It's been a while. Whenever that happens, obviously players don't just magically lose their skill, but for a while, the strategies are going to be up in the air. Nobody really knows exactly how you're supposed to be playing it and how the different early games will interact with the opponent's early game. The previous edition of Protoss vs. Zerg was very well figured out. It was gateways into oracles, into blink stalkers, and all the rest of it. We've seen that time and time again. But I really don't think that you can go ahead and pull that off, especially the Blink Stalker follow-up, man. I'm really not sold that the Blink Stalker follow-up is going to be the way to move forward. Look at this as well, man. Zerg made an Overlord and is now up to 20 supplies. Same for Classic here. How weird. Protoss and Zerg both kept here at 20 with their very first production structures. So, are we going to go Nexus first, Classic? Is that how greedy we're going to be? I mean, it's a Zerg hatchery first over here too, but yeah. This right here is one of the things with the new patch that has become significantly more greedy, right? This already was uncommon for Protoss vs. Zerg. We saw it especially from Terran, I guess, where they would go like CC first against Zerg. But since the early game has been slowed down a lot, going for a structure like it is just a significantly bigger investment. Obviously, though, Classic has been scouting. He sees that the opponent has been greedy as well, so he believes he can get away with it. But again, this is very much so up in the air. I think it's probably fine, but is there some sort of reaction that Zerg can go for when they figure it out here in just a moment with that new slow Overlord, the Slow Overlord, moving across the map? Did I, by the way, already mention that we are on Rorschach LE? I don't believe I have. LE, in case you're wondering, stands for Ladder Edition. This is the brand new map pool as well at the exact same time. So not only do we have this new patch that really throws the entire early game for a loop, and honestly also the mid and late game too, maybe to a slightly lesser extent, but everything is kind of different. We also have a very strange map pool to go, together with it. Like, for example, here at the bottom of the map, we have a very accessible healing shrine. You put units inside of it, they will heal themselves up, although there is like a flying unit blocker, I suppose. What's kind of funky though, and why I find it kind of interesting, right? Like, I'm here for the chaos. I think it's really fun. It's a good time to be a StarCraft fan for sure, because again, everything needs to be figured out. But the maps that the map makers have produced are obviously meant for the quote-unquote previous patch, right? Like, they're supposed to be for the previous version of the game. I think it's probably not that substantial, but it is something to keep in mind. Like, for example, right? Like, Oracle openers were extremely popular for a long time in this matchup, and maybe we're going to be seeing it again moving forward, who knows? But that really is the reason why we have this, this error blocker on the healing shrine. It's just to make sure that Protoss early games aren't absolutely busted. It seems, though, that the word on the street has it that Protoss early game right now is absolutely garbage. It could just be a matter of time. It could just be that Zerg is overpowered. It could just be that Protoss players need to figure out how in the world you're supposed to play this. But it does seem a little bit, precise, I guess. A little bit specific to be putting an air blocker on this healing shrine when it may really not be that significant. So in the previous version of the game, Oracles were very, very oppressive. And imagine if Protoss players could now dive even deeper, get an additional couple workers, and then go back to the healing shrine to heal up. Ooh, you know what? It's not an Oracle. That's a Void Ray first. Void Ray first. They did, of course, by the way, move the Warp Gate research back to the Cybernetics core. They should, by the way, and I'm not 100% sure because we've had like multiple updates and multiple hotfixes over the last 3 days in SC2. But this should be the latest version, if I'm not mistaken, which had a couple of shadow hotfixes as well that were not included in the final list of patch notes. For example, hatcheries are 300 minerals again. Exactly what I suggested with the PTR2 announcement. They reduced the cost of the queen to 150 minerals, which is what it always used to be. They reduced it from 175 to 150, and then they didn't change the cost of the hatchery. They did now change the cost of the hatchery back up to 300 from 275. It's the same for the larva regeneration speed. That also has been increased a little bit, so it's still faster than what it used to be. But it's not quite as insane as it was with the introduction of PTR2. What is this? This is, extremely greedy here from Classic, dude. So game number 1, he goes for a triple gateway proxy on the other side of the map. Game number 2, we're opening Nexus first into a stupid fast fleet beacon with effectively a free-to-take third. I mean, there's an Oracle, but there's just not going to be a whole lot of defense available in general. Classic really is masquerading here as somebody who's playing a macro game and just following this up with like a normal Twilight Council, or at the very least what used to be a normal Twilight Council. But that's not what's going on here at all. It's straight carriers. This is 5 minutes and 45 seconds on the carrier start. And considering this is the new patch, right? If this was the old one, I would imagine like 4:45 or so. Let's take like a full minute off of it. That's kind of insane. But judging here about what Zerg is doing, I think he's gotten away with it. YoungYakov has no clue about what's going on. Yeah, 7 drones, 8 drones, honestly. A phenomenal start here. 9? Oy, oy, oy. 9 workers here going down in total is absolutely massive, considering the amount of, value that Classic really has put into the early game aggression. Absolute minimum investment, maximum result. We do have to kind of sneak away with the Oracle here, but he will indeed achieve that as well. It's important to not really lose any units. But this has been a phenomenal start right here for Classic, who's now celebrating it with a 3rd Stargate 2. +1 air weapons added into the mix. Usually +2 is when carriers really become insane, but this is when Yakov sees it. Yakov's like, wait a second. I'm making Zerglings. Like, what is your unit composition like? Fourth Nexus already too, 7 minutes into the game. Okay. This is why I love the new patch, right? Like, maybe you don't like the specifics, and I get it. I actually disagree with many of the specifics in the patch as well. But my god, is it an exciting time just to watch pro gamers figure out how in the world you're supposed to play this game, right? Maybe it'll turn out to be awful, maybe it'll turn out to be amazing. It's a really hard, it's honestly kind of hard to say. And I really think Blizzard should have probably proceeded differently, but either way, this is what we've got. And this is how Classic is experimenting. Gigantic Zerg counterattack though in the meantime, and this actually could be phenomenal. We can't really reroll very easily because there's just so much money, and so much infrastructure here caught up into carrier production. Carriers will clean all of it up eventually, but how much damage is Classic going to be able to dish out before he needs to go home? Not a whole lot, really. We should maybe even consider recalling. We did see a bunch of additional drones falling, by the way. 7 kills now on that one Oracle that's been zapping around the Zerg bases for a while. But Zerg is now destroying a lot of Protoss economy too. He's just targeting whatever he can, though. Yeah, I think a few more probes is the best you're gonna get. But look how beefy these roaches are. This is why the extra attack upgrades for carriers are so freaking sweet. They just change everything. So honestly, lovely counterattack there by YoungYakov. It needs to be said. It's very tempting to just sort of keep your units at home. The Hero Oracle also did actually end up dying just now, but it's really tempting to keep your Zerg army at home. But the counterattack there was certainly correct. Now, Yakov doesn't know about this base over here at the bottom. This is kind of a funky base. Probably the weirdest one on Rorschach. So we have a Corruptor hit squad trying to go around. He's going to see this expansion now for the very first time. Yep. So there's a worker-only path right over there. Careful, careful with the carriers. Oh, he's going to swoop in. He's definitely going to get one. There's a shield battery close by now. Can it actually heal this up in time? Not quite. Void Ray being chronoed out as well. Now all of the interceptors are deployed, of course. Energy recharge onto the shield battery to try and save another carrier. Lovely movement here by Yakov, man. Yeah, and this is really prime time for some of these high-ranking players, like, for example, YoungYakov, that have had a difficult time really making a proper name for themselves at the absolute highest level. Yakov has been good at this game for a long time, but I personally think he's really good. It's just difficult to break into the upper echelons because the absolute top of the line, well, pro gamers have been practicing the same patch for a lot longer than Yakov has probably been playing the game for. Right? It's just difficult to catch up in that regard. So this is a big reset, and I wouldn't be surprised if Yakov is going to be one of the names we'll see a lot more moving forward, because he has been rapidly improving over the last few years. And you can tell that he knows what he's about, right? Like, you can tell that he is confident with the movement, and that he's not afraid to go up against really one of the most successful pro gamers that we've ever had in SC2. He's not intimidated, to say the least. Mothership is out right now. We have a lot of Void Rays added into the mix too. Cloak gets activated by Mama, who was hiding in the back. No Overseers nearby at the moment here for Yakov. He really needs to get Overseer speed as well if he wants to continue harassing. Keep in mind, though, that the Mothership itself is also very vulnerable. At this point, there's not even a Zergling or a Roach out. All that Yakov's army is Corruptors. How weird. Here we go. He's going to swoop in. Mama is going to get 2-shot. That's kind of crazy. I think all of these Protoss units are going to get 2-shot. Maybe the Voids can even be 1-shot, but he wants to move away now that Prismatic Alignment is activated on those Void Rays. It's got a pretty long cooldown, so as soon as it runs out, aka right now, yep, Yakov is looking to fish for some more kills if he can find this army. He does indeed spot it, decides to swoop in. Bunch of the Corruptors, though, did end up going down. Now he needs to 2-shot the Void Rays as well. And is this an overextension here from the Zerg player? I think it is. What he has on the back of this, though, is 105 drones. We have more than half of the total supply dedicated to workers. That's weird. Yakov can effectively just send in wave after wave after wave of units. And he's gonna just go and settle on this 12 o'clock expansion here. Yeah, this is a full gold base. Classic is gonna look around, though. He hasn't seen it yet, but he's gonna stumble upon it right now. Easiest snipe of his life. Oh, he actually doesn't want to just get this. Oh, dude, he actually purposefully moved the units away so he can kill this base instead. That's kind of crazy, man. I guess he wants to get 2 bases. He wants to get, at the very least, a bunch of drones for his troubles, too. Corruptors are currently dedicated to the cause over here. That is certainly a dead hatchery now in the upper right-hand corner. Yakov, though, is picking off carriers like they're free. It is pretty pricey. Well, how many hatcheries do we want to snipe, Classic? Classic is going to go for another one? That's a little greedy. Okay. He decides indeed not to back up. New Corruptors are popping out of their cocoons as we speak. 5th Nexus in the meantime over on the left side of the map. Mothership 2.0 is going to be out in just a moment. This is another dead base. Yeah. Clever move here by Classic to not just go for the guaranteed damage, but to allow himself 2 base snipes rather than just 1. Okay. Okay. A recall onto the Void Rays will bring them back home. Additional Stargates inside of the main base. We have 4 Void Rays. All at the same time on the production tab, together with a Mothership. A very common sight in Gold League. Maybe Gold Leaguers run to something this entire time, man. But seriously, this is not something we have seen at the pro level. By the way, we are 13 minutes now into this game. Warp gates haven't even been researched. We've got 2 Cybercores researching air attack and air armor, but not even a single warp gate on the battlefield. How strange. Zerglings do snipe another base, but honestly that one felt a little unnecessary anyways. I think this is mostly Classic trying to keep his opponent on his toes, because he's trying to max out. Now, what I'm a little bit worried for here, for the Protoss, as we have Yakov ready to bust down the static defense right over here. What I am a little bit afraid of here for Classic is that he doesn't get any sort of High Templar with his army. Normally, Skytos is scary, not just because of the Skytos units, but mostly because... Oh my, careful. Mostly because of the High Templar with Psystorm and Archons and all the rest of it. A pure Skytos army feels kinda crazy. Here we go, though. Banelings busting through whatever they can hit. So many of these probes are gonna maybe... Well, actually, I say that. Maybe they don't even have to get out. Yeah, there's actually not quite enough here for the Zerg at the moment. Wow. Somehow, some way, that ball just barely held. We still have a bunch of Void Rays chasing down these units. He did, by the way, get the Void Ray movement speed increase. I love how Classic is only activating Prismatic Alignment on some of the Void Rays, meaning that he can actually sustain this type of fighting for a lot longer than we normally see, and that will be an additional snipe on a hatchery in the upper right-hand corner. Here's Mama showing up as well. We only have 2 carriers, by the way, on the battlefield. This is now effectively a Sky War. Look at this. What are we witnessing right now, man? There is so much debate whether or not this patch is a good one. And look, I understand the discussion, but aren't these some of the spiciest games of SC2 that you've seen in 2026? I agree that maybe ultimately the meta will settle into something that will be worse than what we had, but if Blizzard is on the, you know, at the very least, if they're paying attention, right? I think it's not an issue, man. I think we can figure this all out, and it can be a very, very fun next couple of months, next couple of years, and this can certainly work out for the better. Now, these parasitic bombs are not working out for the better for Classic. A little slow on the splitties. There's another parable, man. I love the addition of the Viper. This is pure Sky Zerg for now, with a bunch of Lings on the ground for support. Not for much longer, though, because there's an Ultralisk Cavern coming up. Vipers, though, are getting sniped. Classic is trying to micro his butt off as he tries to grab as many of these units as possible. Another Prismatic Alignment gets activated, so splitting against the Parasitic Bombs is going to be tough. So many Vipers are dying, though. Huge Zergling counterattack in the meantime as well, at least imminent in the upper left-hand corner. I think Yakov probably wants to double down, but he's been preoccupied right over here. So much damage is being done as the queens have been pulled away from their hatcheries to transfuse all of the Corruptors up in the air. Mama has gone down. Void Rays are falling. Corruptors are just targeting down whatever they can hit. Now the Zergling counterattack is also moving through to the upper left. Yakov is getting so much damage done right now. Keep in mind, though, that not only did we have a worker star change, not only did we have a larva regen change, not only did we have a warp gate change, we also had a core component change to this game, and that is the starting resource counts in every single one of these bases. We are 16.5 minutes in, and only just now is the natural expenditure for Classic running out. Normally, I wouldn't really be liking this position for Protoss very much, because it feels like he is stuck, right, on the bases that he's got right now. But this can still be mined for a good couple minutes for sure. He's going to be able to sustain this for a while longer. Yakov wants to keep busting down these bases, but he's just barely not sending enough. Maybe this time around, though, he is going to be able to get rid of a lot more probes. Carrier reinforcements coming through. That is a lot of probes dying here in the end. Look at the supply. Look at the amount of production here as well. Yakov is just making 1 unit, whereas Classic now is making that very critical transition to getting himself some spellcasters out as well. Those Vipers were phenomenal on the other side of the map, but how many just died? Yeah, 3 of them, man. They're expensive. Vipers are not really a unit you can just throw away as the Zerg. And you can see it reflected here as well in the resource count. Although, honestly, considering the amount of flying units that we've had this game for the Zerg especially, this really hasn't been that lopsided at all. He's been mining way more than the Protoss has, and because of it, I think this is totally fine here. Gold base all the way up north is now fully mining. That is the 2nd or maybe even the 3rd attempt on that particular base. Corruptors want to get their caustic sprays down. I really like the idea, by the way, of just sprinkling around a bunch of photon cannons here, making it difficult for this to work out. Big cloaking field rather gets activated. Now the High Templar, though, must have been spotted. And I think that's probably why we got an Ultra Cavern. Ultra Cavern, with armor upgrades especially, a couple Ultras on the ground, absolutely plow, there we go, kindness plating, absolutely plow through all of these High Templar. Now here we go again, though, the Corruptors are moving in. He needs to be so careful. Yeah, he wanted to just swoop in and destroy that army, but that's way more carriers than what Yakov was anticipating. Should you be going into a 2nd Spire here early on as the Zerg? Because I feel like that's one of the reasons why these carriers are now working out far better for Protoss. We've obviously had, well, that 2nd Cybercore early on. That now means that Classic is just a few upgrades ahead, and it really does add up over time. Should you, as a Zerg player, go double Spire in a situation like this, because it would make the Corruptor so much easier to use at this stage in the game. I love, by the way, that Classic is already mixing in Immortals. He knows that the carrier transition... the Ultralisk transition is imminent from the Zerg. So the High Templar would be extremely vulnerable. Immortals absolutely destroy a bunch of those Ultralisks. If that's the case, though, should you be going Microbial Shroud? Microbial Shroud is now Giga buffed, right? So should you be going into Microbial Shroud here and a couple Infestors if you're Yakov? It's good for the Queens, it's good for the Ultras. It means that they would win the fight against the High Templar, the Archons, and the Immortals. There are so many low-hanging fruit, like so many questions that we don't have the answer for right now, that I honestly can't tell you. I think he probably should, but maybe it slows him down too much. Classic slowly carving a path, though, through all of this this map as he takes the base yet again. There's creep up on the high ground as well. There is a line of photon cannons being drawn in the sand here. Upper left-hand corner, of course, was taken previously. Apparently, we've given up on that one right now. Yakov has got so many bases. Still 82 drones available for him as well. He's going to swoop in again. Caustic Spray, though, is not going to be able to kill this. No way. What about Banelings? I feel like Banelings are kind of pointless here. What are they going to do? Storm, 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 storm. My god, that is a spicy engagement for Protoss. Yes, we have some parasitic bombs, but it's actually mostly on the mothership itself, and Mama is beefy, man. She doesn't care. Yo, Mama is so beefy. It takes like 17 parasitic bombs to kill her. Okay, not quite. It's 120 damage over time. She has 700 HP. Anyways, you can do the math. 8 Ultralisks coming up. We don't have +3 Carapace, by the way. We do have +3 melee. Alright, fair enough. Careful that your units don't get stuck in the base. That Shin game comes to mind that I casted earlier this year, where you had 5 Ultralisks stuck in his base and lost the game because of it. Anyways. Classic roaming the map yet again. This is the most active Turtle Skytles game I've seen, man. I'm not even joking. Like, this is seriously insane. He's been wanting to turtle up, but he can't. So he's been moving around the map a ton, just to try and keep this Zerg player honest. There's Time Warp yet again. Keep in mind that these Ultras don't care. They have that Frenzy passive. Here we go. Oh, good feedbacks. That's the end of most of the Vipers, but still a couple Parabombs came down. I don't think the Corruptors are going to be able to win this battle, man. This is a maxed out Protoss death ball. And while some of the carriers are dying, actually more than I anticipated. Wait a second, hold up right now. Most of the interceptors are gone. Nah, no, I think we gotta back up, no? I think you should have backed up. Instead, GG gets called. Classic wins game number 2. Patch is live, by the way, so much for testing. Oh! Wait, what? So in the middle of this series is when the patch officially went live? Dude, it's honestly kind of crazy, right? So the StarCraft intern over at the Blizzard offices, aka the only person that's still paying attention to the game, it seems, we had the PTR published maybe about 3 weeks or so ago, right? 3 weeks ago, the new PTR goes live. Everybody is kind of upset. There's a ton of feedback. We watched some of the games. There seem to be some problems, and Blizzard is completely silent. There is absolutely no info from Blizzard whatsoever, and we don't hear for about 3 weeks. Then, I think this was, when was this? Like Saturday or Friday or so, last week? The PTR 2.0 gets announced. So there's a brand new PTR that addresses some of the issues, but also introduces a bunch of new ones. After 3 weeks of radio silence, no communication whatsoever, new patch suddenly goes up and everybody's kind of upset about it too, but at the very least it seems to be a step in the right direction, but not yet ready for the live version of the game. Not even 2 days after PTR 2 gets announced, it gets pushed to the live version of the game. And apparently that happened in the middle of this series. I don't know, guys. Look, I don't think it's that big of an issue as long as Blizzard has their finger on the pulse. But considering there was a 3 weeks radio silence and zero communication whatsoever, it's a bit of a different company. Back when I first started making videos and my channel was so much smaller, back when there weren't really that many people watching my content at all, so shout out to you guys, by the way. Like, this month has been absolutely insane. There's been so much interest. Anyways, Blizzard used to talk all the time, right? They would reach out all the time, mention a bunch of things here and there. These days, I have not talked to anybody from Blizzard in a long time. Yeah. On the other hand, though, I'm very happy to see that there's still continued development going on for this game, even if it is a little bit lackluster from time to time, and even though they work in mysterious ways these days, it is also really cool to see that there is still active support for a game that is now 16 years old. You know what's funny, though? And I hear that argument all the time, and I understand it. But, look, I can't really tell for the scene across the board, right? Like, I can't really look at all of the numbers very easily, because I just don't have access to all of it. But what I do have access to is my own YouTube analytics. And I can tell you that right now there's been a very significant uptick in overall interest in the game. So, to provide a little bit of perspective, usually the channel gets about 3 million views a month. Like between 2.5 to maybe like 3.5 or so in a good month. That's a lot of people, by the way. Like, that's so many people. And that's been the baseline for years now. So, even when Blizzard does absolutely nothing for like a year, there's still millions of people that are interested in this game. Or I guess, more accurately, hundreds of thousands of people that watch multiple videos every month. Right, at least on my own channel. And obviously, I am by no means the only people or the only person out there making content, right? Like, I appreciate you guys watching me, but there's other people out there too that also make really solid StarCraft content. So there's still a ton of interest, which is awesome. And then this month alone, I think it skyrocketed to like 4.5 million views or so. And that really is just because of this new patch announcement. That's the main thing that's happened, is because of the new maps, the new patch, everything that's going on right now. It does create a very significant uptick in interest and overall views, I guess, for the game. And views is what ultimately drives the pro scene, and even though a lot of people are angry, maybe a lot of pro gamers don't entirely agree, I understand it on the one hand, but also the only way that the game will continue to exist is if there's people watching, right? Like, ultimately, you, maybe not you in particular, but you, you specifically, you dear viewer, are the only reason why this game still exists. As long as you hit the like button below, though. Otherwise, this game will die. Okay, was that dramatic enough? Did I guilt trip you into hitting the like button? I don't know. Anyways, big shout out to all of you. Because I freaking love this game. And I'm gonna try and share my excitement for it. For hopefully many, many years to come. Sometimes I get like a panic message from somebody. It's like, Loko, are you gonna quit StarCraft? I saw you playing Age of Empires 2. Does that mean you're quitting StarCraft? I have been playing a lot of AoE 2, and I've been absolutely loving it. But I'm definitely not quitting StarCraft, man. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm either gonna go down with the ship, or there's gonna be like a StarCraft 3 or something. I don't know, but I'm planning on covering this game for as long as I can. Anyways, enough yapping. We've got ourselves a Spire build here. 7 gateways added into the mix here, together with a charge upgrade inside of the Twilight Council. So we didn't go warp gates in game number 1 and 2 at all, and now in this game, we're just gonna send it? Is that the plan, Classic? Is that what we're going to try and do? Huh. So this base is not even... I mean, it's real, but it feels fake. This base is not even very important at all. This is very likely going to be some sort of charge lot all-in. The cost now to transform a gateway into a warp gate is 25 minerals, 25 gas. That, of course, has been changed. It used to be 50-50. It's one of the things that's still widely debated. Is it something that should be free? Is it something that should be more expensive? I don't know. All I can tell you is that right now it's 25 minerals, 25 gas for each individual gateway. And here we go. The boys are sending it. So this is a Zealot all-in, effectively, versus a Muta opener. I would imagine that's pretty good for the Muta opener, but Zealots also take a while to kill, and Mutas aren't really great in straight-up engagements until you get like 30 of them. Okay. How much damage can be done? Sniping the Prism, though, is absolutely critical. Yep. This is the first time Classic will realize that it is indeed a Muta build. Yeah, no, this is totally fine here for Yakov. This is the rock, paper, scissors aspect, right? Of a new patch. Where both players are like, I'm gonna do this. And then it happens to work out better for one of them. Real-time rock, paper, scissors does go pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie, but this is really poorly executed as well from Classic. He could have done way more damage than what he just did. Loses so many Zealots and that Prism as well. All map control is gone. Don't know why he was slicing away at the hatch. I guess he was hoping he was gonna be able to get that, but you pretty much always want to go for guaranteed damage over just a little bit of random damage. It's just not really necessary. Anyways, Bingling Nest right now as well, together with Hydra Speed. So we go +1 missile here too. Yakov is not going to double down on Mutas, it seems. Instead, as we have the Void Ray trying to finish the job from earlier. No, come on. You know you're not going to get it, Classic. Alright. Oh yeah, instead of doubling down on Mutiling Bane, Yakov is already prepared to now counter what is likely going to be the follow-up from Classic, and it is indeed going to be Phoenixes. So he's going Hydraling Bane on the back of this instead. Hydraling Bane absolutely trashes Phoenixes. So this is, in more ways than one, working out really nicely here for Yakov. Yakov, by the way, not that young anymore as far as I know. I think he's in like his maybe early to mid-20s or so. Do you have to drop the username at some point and just switch over to Yakov instead? Solar used to have an account on a European server called Old Yakov, who was a little bit of a troll. A lot of the Koreans are actually very trolly. It's sometimes a little bit lost, but like in translation, I mean, but they are definitely a little trolly. Classic really has a vendetta here with this hatchery. Finally, he gets it. Now we will see the Hydras for the first time. Muta swoop in, kill Prism number 2. We sieged it up. Banelings, in the meantime, do connect with some of the Zealots. Classic gets the kill on the base. But at what cost? That was so incredibly expensive here. Look at the supply count right now. This is still 3 base Protoss. He never bothered getting another base up. I also don't believe we really have any static defense on this expansion at all. We never even got the gases. We never really bothered chronoing in a while either. Okay, the plan is to try and sit on these bases for a while longer and go into Psystorm. Fair enough. Fair enough. Mutas now go in for the counterattack. A little bit ironic, but most of the Phoenixes are no longer here. You guys were tasked with defending the bases, and instead, yeah, you left them wide open. Mutas are now just maximizing their damage. This is the end of the Mutas. Energy recharge right there onto the shield battery to try and keep the base alive. The personal vendetta base over here, yet again, man, gets denied. So Classic is dealing a lot of damage, but I don't think he's going to be winning the war like this. He may be winning individual engagements, but I'm not so sure about the overall progression in this game. Classic may have wanted to go into Storm, but it's not going to happen for now. Instead, the High Templar that we have get morphed into an Archon. Yeah, fair enough. It's a good idea. But here we go. Big attack here for Yakov. Hydra-rolling Bane. And this is a real committed attack right now, and one that could be game deciding. Hydras are not quite targeting down the Phoenixes, but the Banelings are indeed now crashing into a lot of the Zealots. Classic desperately trying to survive, but the problem is the amount of stuff that he's got. There's just such a huge Zerg army right now at his front door, and that means he has to tap out. It is Yakov who obtains the victory in this series, 2-1.